Here we have a question based on AP. Now we do not know what is the common difference of that AP. We do not know what the first term is, but what do we know? We know that the sum of first P terms is Q and the sum of first Q terms is P. Using this information, we have to find out what D and A is. And now, why do we need to know what D and A is? Because we have to find the sum of first P plus Q terms. Now, all the three things, the information that is given and what is asked, all of them deal with the same formula. What formula is that? The sum of n terms is given by such a formula, but then what we need is not the sum of n terms. What we need is the sum of P plus Q terms, which means wherever you see n, you put P plus Q instead. Then your equation will look like this. This equation will give you the answer, but as we said, we do not know what A is and what D is. These two quantities are the lifeline. They are the DNA of any AP. So if you do not know them, you just have to use this information. That is why we are given this information. We have two equations and we have two unknowns. Where have we heard that before? In linear equations. So just think of it like linear equations. So let us use this information and find out these two unknowns. What is SP? Now you remember the original formula that we started with. Wherever you saw n there, just put P instead. So your equation will look like this. Now, what about the second information that is given? SQ. Again, wherever you saw n, put Q instead. But what is the information given? SP is Q and SQ is P. Now, how do we solve these two equations? We have to solve and find the value for these two. You see a 2a here, a 2a here. These two would have got cancelled. A minus d here, a minus d here. That can also get cancelled. But the problem is this term here. If you open the brackets, you are going to get very large terms. So, how do we solve this without opening the brackets? All you have to do is cross multiply. Then how will this whole thing look like? This will look like this. 2q by p. Let us get rid of this whole thing here and equal to sign. Again, how will this look like when you cross multiply? 2p by q. This is how this equation will look. Then we don't need the brackets because we are not multiplying anything, right? So there. Now just subtract both of this. Then how will this side look like? 2 is common, you can take it out. You have q by p minus p by q. And here what do you have? These two terms gets cancelled. A minus d get cancelled. So you get pd minus qd. And here what can you do? Find the LCM. Then what do you get? The LCM is pq. And what you get in the numerator is what? Q square minus p square. But here also you have a d common. Take the d out and you get such a term. And you see here it is a square minus b square form. So when you open it, you will get what? So applying a square minus b square on this side, we have a minus b into a plus b. But you see the term here, it is p minus q. It is not q minus p. So what do? Take a minus outside and make this as q minus p. So there you have got the value for one of the unknowns. You have got the value for d. So where are we going with this? We needed to find the RHS of this equation and we needed the answer only in the terms of P and Q. So what was stopping us? We did not know what A and D were, and instead of those values we were given two equations. We had to solve these two equations and find A and D. Half of it we already did. We found what D is. Now the question is, do we need to find A, or is there any shortcut? Randomly take one of these equations. I will take this one just because it gives me more space to do the calculations. You can take whichever equation you want, but just fix on any one of these two given equations. Now look at the terms inside these two square brackets. Does that ring any bell? They look very similar except for this Q. So if we throw out that Q, then we can substitute one in the place of another, right? But how will you just throw out something when you have a bracket? What do? Take it out and multiply with D. That is what this bracket means, right? This bracket means that you are multiplying it with D. So let us do that. So I have just thrown Q out of the small bracket, but be very careful, it still remains inside the square bracket. You cannot throw it outside of the square brackets, because see, if you throw it outside of the square brackets, it means that you have to multiply with this also. Then what is all of these terms? It is exactly what you see here. And what is it? When you cross multiply, you get this term looks like this. So when you cross multiply, all of this entire term can be substituted with a very simple 2q by p. So shall we do that? So now you have got such a neat equation, but still not good. Why? Because we still have a D. We need an answer only in the terms of P and Q and a bunch of other numbers. But that is no problem, right? Because we already know what D is. We will substitute the value of D here. What is the value of D? And when you put D, please make sure you write the numbers first, then the alphabets, then the A, B, C, D, whatever. Nothing wrong. If you want to write the variables first, nothing wrong with it. But just in maths, it is considered as bad manners. So make sure you first, your numbers come first and then your variables. And even if you write the other way, no problem. Now, whatever is common, we will take it out. A 2 here in both the numerators, a Q in both the numerators, then a P in both the denominators. That is all. We have taken everything that is common. Then what is left in the first term? Nothing. We have taken everything out. So just 1. And what is left in the second term? We have taken Q. We have taken 2. And what is left in the numerator? Just P plus Q is left. And in the denominator, what is left? Just Q is left. So that means what? A 2 here gets cancelled, and you have P plus Q into Q by P. And here, how do you take the LCM? The LCM is Q. And so therefore, and when you come here, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you put brackets. What does the brackets mean? This minus is for both the terms. So you have minus P minus Q there inside the brackets. A plus Q here, a minus Q here gets cancelled, and what are you left with? This term here, Q by P into minus P by Q. And then what do you see? A plus P, a minus P, a plus Q, a plus Q. So what are you left with? You are left with a minus P plus Q, or in other words, minus P minus Q. This is the answer that you are looking for. So that is all for today. But I just want to mention this. Whenever you see these questions in EAP, you have too many equations given. Remember, all that drama is to find, usually, unless specified otherwise, usually all of that will be to find this D and A. And all the equations are very similar. So before you start calculating, just think for a while. Just look at the whole situation carefully and try to find an easy way out, because maths is not just about problem solving, it is also about time management. So that is all for today. Till I meet you again, you take care. Assalamu alaikum.